Light and darkness crisscross. It got my crew pissed off. It's like my wrist off. I'm writing rhymes till time hits for my mind is a PM.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Grave, and the first thing of many that we're gonna be talking about today is my impressions of Justice League. So moving forward, I think that I've said it before, but I think that instead of an out-and-out review with a numbers score and all that, I'm just going to be giving my impressions of things, and then we can essentially consider that my review of whatever I'm talking about, or, I feel like my impressions are much more beneficial than an out-and-out review, because everyone's going to have different opinions, and everyone is going to come to their own conclusions. So, anyway, let's get into it. So, I saw Justice League last night. Just to kind of preference, Batman is my favorite superhero. Like, I love Batman. I love DC. I love Superman, and I'm not I'm not a comic guy. My love for these characters comes mostly from the animated series back in the 90s and the early 2000s, the movies, the games. That's where my fandom lies. So, I mean, we just got to talk about it. And spoilers, by the way. I will let you know when I'm going to start getting into a little bit of spoilery territory. But for the most part, it's just going to be my impressions. So, it's okay. It's okay. Not great. Not bad. I feel like DC shot themselves in the foot in the very beginning of all this, because we clearly know that they did not have a plan for this universe. Like, it's apparent with this movie. It's apparent with how they handled Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad and Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, which is in my opinion the second or third best DC movie. I mean, it was okay as well. I mean, it wasn't mind-blowing or anything like that, but it was definitely a good movie. People, Justice League, like, I don't, listen, I am not a fucking director, so I can't sit here and act like I would have directed a better movie, but it's just this Zack Snyder, going from scene to scene. Like, I just feel like there is little direction in this movie, and then halfway through, it just starts flourishing. Like, and to me, we need a solid plan, and this movie was supposed to be that. I know that with all the reshoots and stuff, like, we were already, I say we because I'm talking to you guys, but I was already concerned with the trailers and all the news of reshoots and all that. So I didn't really let my excitement get to the fever pitch that I did for Batman v Superman. And I'm glad I didn't, because if I would have got as hyped for this movie as I did for Batman v Superman, I would have been disappointed. But as it stands, I think that there are things that DC got right, and I want to start with that. So, what they got right, in my opinion, is combat, because most of the combat in the movie was phenomenal. I thought it was awesome. I thought anytime Steppenwolf was on screen, fucking shit up, it was a spectacle, and I had fun with that. I feel like they really, they really portrayed each individual character with their own fighting style, and it was unique, and I enjoyed that thoroughly. Let's just say for now, I will be throwing little bits of spoilery shit in there, but so they got the characters right. That's good. The bad is, I feel like there was just too much in this movie that they didn't flesh out, so a lot of motivations and things like that just seem a little flat to me, and that's just me. So with that out of the way, good is they got the characters right. Bad is, I feel like they just kind of it's another mashup, and that's not good, and it doesn't bode well for people that are just trying to go see a movie. You really got to pay attention in this movie. So yeah, the fight scenes, I love that shit. And once they resurrect Superman, which I think is a mistake. I don't even think Superman should have died in Batman v Superman, but listen, we did it. Once they resurrect Superman, the movie turns for me. Once he comes back, there is a level that this movie reaches that it just could not attain previously. And it's fucking, it's a shame. It's a goddamn shame, because I never really liked Henry Cavill as Superman, and that's just my opinion. I think that he looks the part. It's just, maybe it's because they weren't portraying his character correctly, or because of the direction they wanted him to go in, whatever. I just never really fucked with Henry Cavill as Superman, and it's a goddamn shame, because in this movie, he's fucking fantastic. He's fantastic. Ben Affleck does his goddamn job again. Gal Gadot, phenomenal. Okay? But it's just not enough. Jason Momoa is Aquaman, my favorite part of the movie. How could I ever think in my life that I would say that Aquaman is my favorite part of a Justice League anything? It's unfortunate, because the movie as a whole just seems to fall flat. There's a lot of comedy in it that is supposed to hit, and it just doesn't hit for me. And I'm sorry, Ezra Miller's Flash, I loved when the Flash was doing shit. When he was using his powers and he was doing shit, he was awesome. But every single time he opened his mouth, with the exception of a couple jokes, I was cringing. I was like, this shit is so cringy. What is this dialogue? Why is it so cringy? How does Aquaman have the most heartfelt speech in the whole movie? And again, Wonder Woman uses her lasso of truth on him, so he starts to get a little, more warm-hearted than he normally would. But it's that's funny. That was a funny part, and I literally laughed out loud. Listen, I know that we don't like to try to compare the DC movies to the Marvel movies, but as it stands, Warner Brothers did that. Okay? If Warner Brothers would have come out and been listen, we're getting a late start, but this is our universe, and we're going to tell our stories the way we want to tell it, I would have accepted it. But clearly, Man of Steel, even though they said it was the start of the DCEU, had no plans of being the start of the DCEU. It was a standalone movie. Okay, which they shoehorned into Batman v Superman, which was two movies mashed together. Then they fucking put out Suicide Squad, which was basically nothing but a long ass fucking trailer. It was essentially just, Suicide Squad. I feel like it did what it had to do, It got me excited for Joker. It got me excited for Harley Quinn. It got me excited for Deadshot. The only 3 characters that mattered in that movie. But it was a long-ass trailer. Like, there was no cohesiveness in that movie. It was just a long, let's go from thing to thing trailer. 2 fucking hours long. You know what I mean? Like, not worth it. Then you have Wonder Woman, which is a good movie, but it's not this fucking 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 that people are trying to say that it is. It's just not. It's not, and it's not Gal Gadot's fault either. She does her goddamn thizzle, you know, like she does her job, but it, like, trying to rush to catch up to Marvel is the biggest sin they could have made, because it's just not working. And when you get to the end of this movie, you see, damn, they should have took this route from the beginning. They should have, tried to portray these characters in an authentic light from the beginning, because there's just so much good at the end. Like, and it just, in my head, just, my heart hurts. My heart aches. Because, Ben Affleck doesn't want to be Batman anymore, and he, in my opinion, is the best Batman I've ever seen on screen, which is just like, that shit it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I didn't really care too much for Ezra Miller's Flash. Cyborg was awesome, but he looked terrible, in my opinion. And it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess at best. And that's not good enough, DC, Warner Brothers. That's not good enough. Okay? And they already know it's not good enough. I saw an article about the Hollywood Reporter that they're already saying after the Aquaman movie, the DCEU is no more. The Justice League only made $94 million in the box office this weekend. Like, that's not good enough. You have some of the most notable superheroes ever in this movie, and it only did $94 million. Like, I know that's a lot, but it's not what they were expecting when they spent $200 on this movie. And again, I know it sounds like I'm just shitting on the movie, and I know that that's what it sounds like, and I'm sorry for that, but like I said, I liked it. I feel like I had a little bit more enjoyment with Batman v Superman, even though everyone says it's a terrible movie. I don't think it's that bad. When people, like, Batman v Superman is 100% better than The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Rises is a terrible movie. Okay? That movie is fucking horrible. And I don't care what anybody says. The movie was terrible. So, I'm not... It's not a... Batman v Superman is not a better movie than Justice League, because it is... Justice League is slightly more coherent. It knows what it is, and it tries to commit to that, which is something that I appreciate. But it's just like, fuck, man. Like, once again, we're gonna have to wait for the director's cut to see the full movie. That, Warner Brothers, that's a fucking terrible thing. It's terrible that I have to wait for the fucking director's cut of the movie, which is probably going to be somewhere around 2 hours and 30 minutes, because there's missing parts in this movie. There's just parts where you're like, well, how did we get here? Like, what the fuck? Like, there's just missing shit. And it's like, what are you guys doing? I mean, it's already blown up. Like, it's already done. Ben Affleck don't want to be Batman no more. After Aquaman, the fucking DCEU is done. So they didn't do their fucking job. And that's why I think I'm coming at it in such a harsh way, because we had winners on our hands and you decided to rush everything. if Batman v Superman was 2 movies, if it was Batman vs Superman and then Dawn of Justice, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because I think that they would have seen that those 2 movies would have been way more well received than just the one. So I'm just rambling and ranting at this point. Like I'm thoroughly disappointed in Warner Brothers and in DC for how they've handled my childhood. And I don't again want to compare it to Marvel, but it's just, you see what happens when planning gets you somewhere and when rushing gets you somewhere. You know? Marvel could have like 2-3 stinkers in a row and it's overlooked because the majority of their movies are worth watching, and worth watching more than once. So that's, if you couldn't tell by my tone, that's like my impressions of Justice League. And again, I'm not trying to say that it's the worst movie I ever saw, because it is definitely not. 100% definitely not. But it just feels like we are, they didn't respect us. They didn't respect the fan, and they didn't respect the casual moviegoer, and it shows. So while Justice League is an okay movie, especially, I would say, like at the halfway mark, it becomes a good movie. It just doesn't do enough to save us. It doesn't do enough to save the DCEU. And while I would love to say that I'm excited to see what they do, and while I would love to say I'm excited for The Flash and Aquaman and Shazam and all that, I just don't even think we're going to get that far. I don't even know if, we will even see those movies come to fruition. So those are my thoughts. I would love to know yours. I would love to know what you thought of the movie. I would love to know if you enjoyed it. I would love to know if you hated it. Just let me know down in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, of course. And I'll see you next time. And for everything gaming, anime, movies, and whatever the fuck else I want to do on my channel, stay tuned here on Grave TV. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate anyone that's been rocking with me from the beginning. I really fucking appreciate y'all, and I love y'all. And we'll be back with more. Have a good day. Grave is out. Peace.